stood in the landing bay of Prime and tried not to look small. It was impossible. Everything around him was built for giants. The doorways reached 15 feet high. The weapons rack on the wall held blades as long as he was tall. Even the steps leading down from his transport ship were spaced too far apart, forcing him to jump down the last one. He landed with a thud that echoed through the empty bay, empty except for them. 5 waited in a semicircle. They were massive creatures, towering between 8 and 10 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in thick fur that ranged from deep black to silver gray. Each had 4 arms, heavily muscled, ending in claws that could tear through metal. Their faces were angular, almost wolf-like, with yellow eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. The largest one stepped forward. His fur was silver-black and scars crossed his face and arms like a road map of old battles. This had to be the Alpha Hunter, the legend. Had read about him during the flight, had killed more dangerous prey than any hunter in 3 generations. He had never lost a pack member on a hunt. Never. "You are the human." His voice was deep like rocks grinding together. It was not a question. "Yes, sir. My name is. I am here for the exchange program." One of the other laughed. It was a harsh, barking sound. This one had darker fur and a jagged scar across his snout. "Look at it, it is so small. How did this thing survive to adulthood?" Another joined in. "Maybe they keep them in boxes, safe from the wind." More laughter. Kept his face neutral. He had expected this. The briefing on Earth had warned him, respected strength, size, and hunting ability. Humans had none of those things, not in ways they understood. He was 5 feet 9 inches tall. He weighed 170 pounds. He had no claws, no thick fur, no enhanced night vision. By standards, he was prey, not a predator. The one moved closer, circling like a predator studying meat. "I am second of this pack. Tell me, little human, what do you hunt on your world? Insects, small rodents." "We hunt whatever we need to survive," said quietly. Snorted. "Survive? Yes, I suppose your kind is good at hiding and surviving, like the scurry rats in the lower decks." He looked back at the others. "Perhaps we can use it as bait. They might be attracted to easy prey." The others laughed again, except for the Alpha remained silent, his yellow eyes fixed on, watching, measuring. An older female spoke up. Her fur was gray with age, and she moved with a slight limp. You should not be here, human. This is Shadow Pack. We hunt the most dangerous prey in the galaxy. You will die." It was not said with cruelty, just fact. The youngest of the group, barely 7 feet tall with glossy black fur, grinned widely. I will try to keep you alive, small one, for at least a day or 2. He did not sound confident about even that. Set down his pack and met each of their eyes in turn. "I did not come here to hide. I came here to learn and to hunt." Laughed the loudest at that. "Hunt, it thinks it can hunt." He moved closer, using his height to loom over. "You have no claws, no fangs, your eyes are weak. Your nose is nearly useless. You cannot even see properly in the dark. What exactly will you hunt with, human? Your tiny teeth?" "My brain," said simply. The laughter stopped. Eyes narrowed dangerously. "Are you saying we are stupid?" "No, I am saying we hunt differently. You are stronger, faster, better in almost every way. But humans have survived on a dangerous world for millions of years. We have our own methods." Leaned down until his fanged snout was inches from his face. His breath was hot and smelled like old meat. "Then you will have a chance to prove these methods, little human. We have a hunt, a real hunt." Finally spoke, his voice cutting through the tension. "Enough." The second immediately stepped back, though his eyes remained fixed on, moved forward until he stood directly in front of the human. Up close, he was even more imposing. Scars covered his body, each one a story of survival. His eyes held intelligence and something else. Sadness, perhaps. "We hunt those," said. "It has killed 17 sentients in the past month. 4 of them were hunters. It is fast, intelligent, and very deadly. The Galactic Council has authorized its termination." Felt his throat go dry. He had heard of. They were apex predators from a death world worse than Earth. They stood 12 feet tall, had armored hides that could resist most weapons, and hunted in a way that suggested cruel intelligence. "We leave at dawn," continued. "Is correct about one thing: you will likely die. This is not like your training on Earth. This is real. If you wish to withdraw from the exchange program, now is the time." Thought about the year of training he had endured, the physical conditioning, the survival courses, the long nights studying culture and language. He thought about the other candidates who had dropped out, unable to handle the pressure. He thought about his family back on Earth and his promise to his younger sister that he would make humanity proud among the stars. "I am not withdrawing," said. Laughed again, but it sounded forced. "Then you will be bait. It is decided. The small human will draw the out and we will strike when it attacks." Looked at, waiting for the Alpha to overrule this, to say something, anything. His expression did not change. "If that is the best use of our resources, then that is what we will do. Prepare yourself, human. We leave in 6 hours. Dismissed." The pack dispersed, heading toward the barracks. Paused beside. "I am sorry, small one is cruel, but he is not wrong. You are not built for this. Make peace with your gods." She limped away. Stood alone in the landing bay. His pack felt heavy on his shoulders. 6 hours until they left. 6 hours until he would face something that had killed hunters, creatures far stronger and faster than he could ever hope to be. He picked up his pack and headed toward the barracks. As he walked, he noticed still watching him from the shadows near the far wall. The Alpha's yellow eyes glowed in the darkness, unreadable and ancient. Nodded once to him and kept walking. Behind him, his expression shifted slightly. The smallest hint of a smile, or perhaps just curiosity. Then he too disappeared into the shadows, leaving to prepare for a hunt that everyone believed would be his last. The jungle of Prime was unlike anything on Earth. The trees rose 300 feet into the air, their trunks wider than houses. The canopy above blocked most of the sunlight, leaving the forest floor in perpetual twilight. Strange calls echoed through the darkness, some close, some far away. All of them sounded hungry. Moved quietly through the undergrowth, following the massive forms of the hunters ahead. They had been tracking them for 2 days now. 2 days of endless walking, of sleeping in shifts on the hard ground, of eating dried rations that tasted like leather. They moved like shadows despite their size. Led the way, reading tracks that could barely see. Covered the left flank, her experience showing in the way she anticipated danger before it appeared. Took the right, young but eager. Moved in the center, his yellow eyes constantly scanning, and brought up the rear where prey belonged. On the first day had made jokes about space. "Hurry up, little human, or should we carry you like a pup?" The others had laughed, even had grinned. But now, at the end of the second day, no one was laughing. They were tired. Their powerful muscles, built for explosive sprints and brutal combat, were not designed for endless endurance. Was breathing heavily, her limp more pronounced. Steps had lost their spring. Even, who prided himself on his strength, was showing signs of fatigue. Kept pace. His legs ached and his feet had blisters, but he had learned long ago how to push through discomfort. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. But they could keep going when other creatures had to stop. It was called persistence hunting, and his ancestors had run down prey across the African savanna for tens of thousands of years. That ability was written into his genes. Raised one hand, signaling a halt. The pack stopped immediately, taking defensive positions. Knelt beside a large root, his hand moving to the simple knife at his belt. It looked like a toy compared to the weapons. "The trail splits here," said, studying the ground. "The has doubled back, trying to confuse us." "Which path is real?" asked. Examined both directions, his nose twitching as he tested the air. "I cannot tell. Both scents are equally strong." Turn 2. What do you think, old mother? knelt running her claws through the dirt. The left path, the disturbance is deeper, but I am not certain. Moved forward before he could stop himself. May I look? Turned, his lip curling. What could you possibly see that we cannot, human? Your eyes are weak. Your nose is useless. Please, said, looking at. The Alpha studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. Approached the split in the trail. He did not rely on his nose or his night vision like the. Instead, he looked at the small details. The way the leaves were disturbed, the pattern of the dirt displacement. He knelt and touched the soil, feeling its texture. On the left path, the earth was churned but not compressed. On the right, the dirt was slightly more compact, pressed down by real weight. The right path, said. The left is a false trail. The creature dragged branches behind it to disturb the ground, but it did not actually walk there. You can see here. He pointed to a spot where the marks were too uniform, too deliberate. This was made to deceive. The right path has actual weight compression, real footfalls. Snorted, ridiculous, you are guessing. Then we split up, decided. Take and check the left path. We will take the right. If the human is wrong, we will find out quickly enough. Looked like he wanted to argue but bowed his head. As you command, Alpha. He and disappeared down the left path. And took the right path. They walked in silence for 20 minutes. Then's communicator chirped. His voice came through, tight with irritation. The left path is false. It leads to a cliff. We are returning to the split. Looked at, he said nothing, but something shifted in his yellow eyes. Recognition, perhaps, or the beginning of respect. That night they made camp in a small clearing. They built a fire using chemical sticks that burned without smoke. Contributed his own supply, quietly dividing his water rations. He had been careful with his resources while they had drunk freely, confident they would find water sources along the way. But they had not. Sat near the fire, her breathing labored. The heat of the day and the long march had taken a toll, were adapted for cooler climates. This jungle, while familiar to them, was still draining in its humidity. Approached her with his canteen. Here, you need this more than I do. She looked at him suspiciously. Why would you help me? I am stronger than you. I do not need your charity, human. It is not charity. We are a pack, even temporarily, and you are dehydrated. Drink. Took the canteen slowly as if expecting a trick. She drank deeply, then handed it back. You keep surprising me, small one. I thought you would be dead by now. The day is not over yet, said with a slight smile. Approach from the perimeter. I do not understand you, human. You do not complain. You do not slow us down. You even help us. But you are so, he gestured at small frame, so breakable. How does your species survive? We are stubborn, said, and we do not give up easily. Listened from across the fire. He had not spoken much since they made camp, but could feel the Alpha's attention on him constantly, measuring, judging. Returned from his own patrol of the perimeter. He glared at. Do not think your lucky guess makes you a hunter, human. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow we close in on the. And when we do, you will see what real hunting looks like. Just try not to die too quickly. I want to see if you scream. Met his gaze steadily. I will do my best. The night passed slowly. Being apex predators, slept deeply. It was a vulnerability they rarely acknowledged. Took the first watch as he had the previous night. He sat with his back against a tree, his knife in his hand, and watched the darkness. Around midnight, something moved in the trees. Not close, but not far either. Saw the gleam of eyes reflecting the dim firelight. Multiple eyes. Something was watching them. He moved quietly to where slept. The Alpha's eyes snapped open before even touched him, instinct taking over. Put a finger to his lips and pointed toward the trees. Rose silently. He looked where indicated, then nodded slowly. His hand went to his weapon, but the eyes in the darkness disappeared. Whatever it was, it had decided they were not worth the risk. Looked at, you did not sleep last night either. I watched you watch us. Someone needs to, said simply. You sleep deeply, Like lions on Earth, it is a predator trait, but it is also a vulnerability. And you do not sleep deeply. Humans sleep lightly. We evolved as both predator and prey. We learn to rest but never completely lower our guard. Sat down beside him, a massive presence in the darkness. You are not what I expected of Earth. It was the first time the Alpha had used his name. They sat in silence for a while, watching the forest. Finally spoke again. "The is close. Tomorrow we will find it, or it will find us. Be ready." "I am always ready," said. Made a sound that might have been a laugh or a grunt of approval. Then he returned to his sleeping spot, leaving to finish his watch. In the darkness, Noticed was also awake, watching him with unreadable eyes. The second did not speak, but something in his posture suggested their dynamic had shifted. Just slightly, just enough. When dawn came 3 hours later, the pack rose and continued the hunt. The trail was fresher now. That was close, very close. And everyone, even, glanced at with something that was no longer quite contempt. The attack came without warning. One moment the pack was moving through a narrow ravine, following the increasingly fresh trail of the next moment, the world exploded into chaos. The burst from the rock wall itself, camouflaged perfectly against the stone. It was even larger than had imagined, nearly 12 feet tall, with armored plates covering its body like natural battle armor. Its mouth opened to reveal rows of teeth designed to shear through bone. Its roar shook loose rocks from the ravine walls. The pack scattered, rolled left, his weapons already in his hands, went right, roaring his own challenge, tried to move back, but her injured leg slowed her. This massive claw swept through the space where she had been standing a second before, missing by inches. And young and inexperienced froze. It was only for a heartbeat, a moment of primal fear when instinct should have told him to run, but a heartbeat was enough. This tail, thick as a tree trunk and tipped with bony spikes, swung around in a wide arc. It caught in the chest and sent him flying. The young crashed into the ravine wall with a sickening crunch and fell to the ground, motionless. "Fall back," his command cut through the chaos. "Regroup at the ridge." The pack obeyed instantly and ran for the opening in the ravine that led upward. Provided cover, his plasma rifle firing shots that scored this armor but did not penetrate. The creature advanced, slower now, confident. It had tasted victory. Ran toward it. Human, no. His voice was sharp with fear, but was already there, sliding to his knees beside the fallen. Was alive but badly hurt. His breathing was shallow and rapid. Blood matted his black fur. One of his arms hung at an unnatural angle. His yellow eyes opened briefly, unfocused and filled with pain. "Leave me," whispered. "Run, small one, I am dead anyway." "No," said simply. He looked up at It had paused, watching this new development with what seemed like cruel amusement. Was so small, so insignificant, not even worth killing quickly. Pulled off his pack and rummaged inside. His hands closed around the emergency flare gun, the fire-starting kit, and the length of lightweight cable he had packed despite the mocking its usefulness. "What are you doing?" His voice was weak. "Buying time," said. He stood and faced The creature tilted its massive head, studying him like an insect. Then it began to advance. Fired the flare gun directly at this face. The bright magnesium flare struck the creature's eye and exploded in a burst of white-hot light. The roared and staggered back, shaking its head violently. The armored plates protected its body, but the eyes were vulnerable. While it was distracted, grabbed the fire-starting kit and ignited the chemical accelerant. He poured it in a wide circle around himself and then set it ablaze. Fire erupted in a ring around them, the flames climbing high. They hesitated. Like many predators from death worlds, it had an instinctive fear of fire. Fire meant pain, meant danger, meant death. It circled the flames, looking for a way through. "You cannot hold it forever," said, his voice strained. "Save yourself." Humans do not leave their pack behind, said. He was surprised to find he meant it. Was not even his species, but something had shifted in the past 3 days. They had hunted together, survived together. That meant something. The found its courage. It charged through the fire, accepting the pain for the promise of prey, grabbed the cable and dove aside, pulling it taut across the creature's path at ankle height. The front legs caught the cable and it stumbled, crashing into the ground with earth-shaking force. Did not wait. He grabbed under the arms and began to drag him toward the ravine exit. There was at least 300 pounds, perhaps more. His muscles screamed in protest. His back felt like it might snap, but he did not stop. The recovered and roared. It turned, fixing its remaining good eye on. This prey had hurt it, embarrassed it. Now it would die slowly. A plasma bolt struck in the side. Then another had returned, providing covering fire from the ridge above. Move, human, now. Pulled harder. His feet slipped on loose rocks. His vision blurred with effort. But he kept moving, one step at a time, dragging unconscious weight behind him. The charged, fired again, this time aiming for the legs, trying to slow it down. The creature stumbled but did not fall. It was 20 feet away. Then 10. Appeared from the side, launching himself at with a roar. His claws raked across the creature's face, going for the injured eye. The screamed and batted him away, but it gave the seconds he needed. He reached the ravine slope and began climbing, hauling up the incline. Was there, reaching down. Her claws closed on his arm and she pulled with her remaining strength. Together, they got the young to the top of the ridge. Below and fought a delaying action, using the terrain to their advantage. The ravine was too narrow for to use its full size effectively, but it was only a matter of time. Fall back, commanded again. Obeyed immediately, scrambling up the slope with the alpha right behind him. The tried to follow, but the slope was too steep and its bulk worked against it. It roared in frustration, then turned and disappeared back into the ravine, seeking another way around. The pack regrouped 100 yards away, in a defensible position among large boulders. Immediately began tending to wounds, using the medical supplies from her pack. The young was unconscious but breathing. Turn 2, the alpha was breathing hard, his fur matted with sweat and blood from a cut on his shoulder. You went back for him. Yes. Why, you could have escaped. You are faster than in that terrain. You would have survived. Looked at its pale face. Because he is pack, even if only temporarily, you do not leave pack behind. Stepped forward. His expression was unreadable. You are either the bravest creature I have ever met or the... Perhaps both, said. For the first time's mouth twitched. It might have been a smile. Perhaps, he looked at. That will circle around. It knows we are wounded. It will hunt us now. Then we keep moving, decided. Cannot walk. We will need to carry him. I will carry him, said. Everyone looked at him, shook his head. Human, he weighs 3 times what you do. You cannot possibly. I can, and I will. Began fashioning a carrier from his cable and the support frame from his pack. It was a design used by human soldiers on Earth, adapted for carrying heavy loads over long distances. It distributed the weight across his shoulders and hips, making it possible to carry more than his own body weight. Watched fascinated. Your species does this. We evolved to carry our young and our supplies over long distances. Our bodies are built for endurance, not strength, but endurance can accomplish what strength cannot. He tested the carrier and nodded. Help me get him secured. Together they lifted onto his back. The weight was immense. His knees nearly buckled, but he planted his feet, adjusted the straps, and stood. His legs trembled. His breathing came in gasps, but he stood. This is madness, said quietly. This is necessity, countered. He looked at with something approaching awe. How long can you carry him? As long as I need to, said. He did not know if this was true, but he would find out. They began to walk, forced his legs to move one step after another. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. Every muscle in his body protested. His spine felt compressed. His shoulders burned. But he kept walking. Behind them, somewhere in the jungle, the howled. It was hunting them now, and it was angry. The pack moved through the darkening jungle, racing against time and a wounded predator's pride. And at the center of that pack, carrying a burden no human should be able to bear, walked on. Hours passed. The jungle grew darker. His world narrowed to the next step and the next and the next. He began to sing, quietly, an old song his grandmother had taught him about sailors crossing distant seas. The melody helped him find a rhythm, one step per beat. Don't think about the pain. Don't think about the weight. Just walk. Stirred occasionally, delirious with pain, each time spoke to him softly. Stay with me. Stay awake. Tell me about your first hunt. Tell me about your family. And would mumble answers, his voice weak but present. The pack watched this in silence, even said nothing. There was nothing to say. They were witnessing something they did not fully understand, something human. Woke to white walls and the smell of antiseptic. For a moment he could not remember where he was. Then the pain reminded him. His entire body felt like one massive bruise. His ribs ached with each breath. His shoulders were stiff and unresponsive. A face appeared above him. Human, female. She had short black hair and tired eyes behind medical scanner glasses. "Welcome back," she said in Korean. "I am doctor. You have been unconscious for 18 hours. Tried to sit up. The pain made him gasp and fall back. "Do not move," said firmly. "You have 3 cracked ribs, severe muscle strain in your back and legs, and you are severely dehydrated. By all medical logic, you should not have been able to walk at all, let alone carry a 300-pound alien for 14 hours straight. Managed is he. Alive, thanks to you. They have very advanced medical technology. They repaired his injuries completely. He will recover fully." Closed his eyes in relief. The pain seemed less important now. "You are being talked about," continued, checking his vital signs. "The story has spread through the station. A human carrying a warrior to safety, fighting with primitive fire and cables. The aliens do not know what to make of you. I was just doing what needed to be done." Smiled slightly. "That is very human of you." She began applying a healing wrap to his ribs. They have a saying, "Action reveals spirit." Your actions revealed something they did not expect to find in a human. The door to the medical bay opened. Entered, having to duck through even the enlarged doorway. He looked at, who nodded and stepped back to give them privacy. The Alpha approached his bed. In the bright medical lighting could see every scar on his face and body. There were dozens, hundreds, each one a story of survival. "You should be dead," said without preamble. "By every measure you should have collapsed after the first hour, the second at most, but you walked for 14 hours. You carried the entire way, even when we offered to help. You only stopped when we reached the transport ship, and even then you did not let go of him until the medical team took him from you." "I remember walking," said. "I do not remember much after that." "You collapsed. We thought you had died." His yellow eyes studied him intently. "Is asking for you. He wants to thank the one who saved his life. I will visit when I can walk. That will not be for several days, according to your doctor, but there is another matter we must discuss first." Sat in a chair that looked too small for him. "I wish to perform the kin-naming ritual. For you." His breath caught. He knew what this meant. He had studied culture extensively during his training. The kin-naming was the highest honor a Alpha could bestow. It meant accepting another as family, as true pack, as worthy of the same loyalty as blood relatives. An Alpha could only perform the ritual once in their entire lifetime. Once. "Alpha, I am honored, but—" "There is a complication," continued. "Has invoked his right to challenge the naming. By our law, any pack member can demand a trial if they believe the one being honored is unworthy. It is an old law, rarely used, but has used it. He wants to fight me." Yes, not to the death, but to unconsciousness or surrender. He must be satisfied that you are worthy or the numbing cannot proceed. His expression was unreadable. You are injured. I can postpone the challenge until you have healed. Thought about this. Thought about who was 3 times his size and trained in combat from childhood. Thought about his cracked ribs and exhausted body. When does he want to do this? Tomorrow. He says if you are truly worthy, your injuries will not matter. If they do matter, then you are weak and unworthy. He is not wrong, said quietly. A worthy warrior should be able to fight regardless of condition. I accept. Leaned forward. Why? You do not need to do this. You can return to Earth with honor. You have done more than anyone expected. No one would think less of you for declining. I would think less of me, said, and I want to see this through, whatever happens. Something shifted in his expression, a kind of sadness mixed with pride. You remind me of someone, my brother. He died on a hunt 5 years ago. He was young, he made a mistake and I could not save him. I have never forgiven myself. That is why you hunt, said. Understanding dawned. You never lose pack members because you cannot bear to lose another. Yes, stood. Tomorrow then, rest. You will need every bit of strength you have. After left, returned with medication. I heard, she said, you are insane. Probably. Will destroy you, you know this. Yes. Then why? Looked at the ceiling trying to find the words. Because something changed out there, in the jungle. I started as an outsider, someone to be mocked and used as bait. But when I refused to leave him behind, I became something else. I became pack. Even felt it, I think. That is why he challenged me. He needs to know if it was real or just desperation. And you need to prove it was real. Yes. Sighed, then I will make sure you are as ready as possible. But this is not Earth. These are not humans. Their idea of a friendly fight could kill you. I know. And you are doing it anyway. I am doing it anyway. The next day, the pack gathered in the training arena. It was a large circular space with a dirt floor and high walls. Filled the observation decks above, drawn by rumors of the impossible human who thought he could challenge a warrior. Entered the arena to silence. He wore simple training clothes and wrappings to support his ribs. Each breath hurt. Each step was an effort, but he walked steadily to the center of the arena. Entered from the opposite side. He wore traditional combat gear, his 4 arms free and ready. His claws gleamed in the harsh lighting. He looked at with something that might have been respect or might have been pity. Stood at the edge of the arena, serving as witness and judge. The challenge has been issued. The trial will continue until one warrior surrenders or cannot continue. No killing blows, no permanent injury. This is a test of worthiness, not vengeance. Do you both understand? I understand, said. I understand, echoed. Then begin. Did not rush. He circled slowly, professionally. This was not anger or cruelty. This was a test. He wanted to see what was truly made of. Turned with him, keeping his stance low and balanced. He could not win through strength. He could not win through speed. He had only his mind and his will. Struck a testing jab with one hand. Dodged, but barely. His injured body was slow to respond. The second strike came faster, catching him in the shoulder and sending him stumbling. The crowd murmured, this would be quick. Regained his footing. Struck again, a combination of blows that could not fully avoid. One caught his ribs. The pain was blinding. Went down on one knee, gasping. Surrender, said, not unkindly. You are brave, human, but this is pointless. Stood up, his legs shook. Blood ran from his mouth where he had bitten his tongue. No. His eyes narrowed. He attacked again, harder this time. Tried to defend, but it was like trying to stop a landslide with his bare hands. He was struck again and again, each blow carefully measured to hurt but not cripple. Was a warrior, not a murderer. He knew exactly how much damage to inflict. Fell, the dirt was cool against his face. His vision blurred. Every part of his body screamed at him to stay down, to surrender, to end this. He got up. The crowd was silent now. Even the others sensed something profound was happening. Hesitated. Why, you cannot win. You can barely stand. Because I am worthy, said, his voice steady despite the pain. Not because I can beat you, but because I will not quit. That is what makes me worthy. He raised his hands again, ready to continue. Looked at him for a long moment, then he looked up at. Enough, the Alpha called. The trial is ended. Lowered his arms. He approached, and to everyone's surprise he bowed his head. You are right, small one. You are worthy, not because of strength or speed, but because you have something we sometimes forget. You have a spirit that cannot be broken. That is the true mark of a hunter. He offered his hand, took it, and helped him stand. Entered the arena. The challenge has been answered. Witness, all of you. I now perform the kin-naming. The crowd fell completely silent. This was a sacred moment. Drew a ceremonial blade. He cut his own palm, letting silver blood well up. Then he held out the blade too. Took it with shaking hands and cut his own palm. Red human blood mixed with silver blood as clasps hand in his massive paw. By blood and spirit I name you kin, said, his voice carrying to every corner of the arena. You are small, but you are mighty. You are different, but you are pack. You are human, but you are in all that matters. I name you kin, brother of my spirit, hunter of my pack. The pack howled. It was a sound of acceptance, of welcome, of recognition. Even howled, his voice joining the chorus. And bleeding and broken but unbowed, howled with them. There was still out there, still hunting, and now it was personal. Stood in the strategy room with the full pack. His ribs were wrapped tightly and had given him medication to manage the pain. She had not been happy about him leaving the medical bay so soon, but she understood. This was not finished. Spread a holographic map across the table. That has killed 2 more hunters since our encounter. Different pack, different region. It is moving toward populated areas. The Galactic Council has authorized extreme measures. They want it dead within 3 days, or they will orbital strike the entire region. That will kill everything in a 100-mile radius, said. All the wildlife, all the ecosystems. They are willing to accept that cost, said grimly, which means we have 3 days to finish what we started. Studied the map. It is injured now, angry. That makes it more dangerous but also more predictable. It will want revenge against us. Good, said from his medical chair. His injuries were healing rapidly thanks to medical technology, but he was not yet cleared for active duty. Let it come for us. We will be ready. Looked at, you have studied the extensively. What do you think? All eyes turned too. A week ago they would have ignored his input entirely. Now they waited for his assessment. Moved to the holographic display, studying the terrain. The is intelligent, more intelligent than most predators. It learns from mistakes. It will not fall for the same tricks twice. So how do we kill it? Asked. We combine our strengths, said. He zoomed in on a canyon system. Here, this is where we fought it before. It knows this terrain. It will expect us to avoid it, so we go back. That is suicide, said. It will have the advantage in familiar territory. Unless we change the territory, highlighted several points on the map. Humans have been hunting dangerous prey for millions of years. We learned something important. We learned to modify the environment to give us the advantage. We set traps. We create barriers. We use terrain against our prey. Leaned forward, interested. Go on. The is large and powerful. Those are its strengths, but they are also weaknesses. It cannot fit through small spaces. It cannot climb certain surfaces, and it has that instinctive fear of fire. His fingers moved across the display, marking locations. We need to lure it into a killing ground, somewhere we control, somewhere its advantages become disadvantages. The canyon narrows here, said, catching on. If we could collapse the walls. It would be trapped, finished, forced to fight in a space where its size works against it. But how do we lure it there? Asked. It will smell a trap. Smiled slightly. We use bait it cannot resist. We use me. The room erupted in protests. His voice cut through them. Explain. Thee is angry at me specifically. I hurt it. Humiliated it. In predator psychology, that creates a fixation. If it knows I am in that canyon, it will come. It will not be able to help itself. That is still using you as bait, said. I suggested that on the first day. Everyone thought I was cruel. The difference is this time I am choosing it, and this time we are prepared. Looked at each of them. We are pack now. We hunt together, we use all our strengths, power and human cunning. Together we can kill this thing. Was silent for a long moment, then he nodded. We prepare. We have 3 days, but we move in one. The longer we wait, the more people die. The pack spent the next 20 hours preparing. They studied the terrain, planned fallback positions, gathered equipment, taught them principles of trap making that had been used by humans since the Stone Age, contributed combat tactics that had evolved over thousands of years, provided wisdom from decades of experience. Even, still recovering, offered insights from his studies of predator behavior. They worked as a unit, a real pack. Ambassador, the human diplomatic representative, visited the preparation room. She watched for a moment, then approached. The entire human delegation is talking about you. You are either a hero or insane, perhaps both. How is Earth responding? Asked. They are proud, nervous, excited. You have done something remarkable. You have shown these aliens that humans belong in the stars, not as servants or subordinates, but as equals, as partners. I just did what needed to be done. Smiled. That is the most human thing you could say. She became serious. But be careful. Thee is not the only danger. There are political forces on multiple worlds that do not want humans to succeed out here. Your success threatens their narratives about us. If you die on this hunt, they will call it proof that humans are too weak for the greater galaxy. Then I will not die, said simply. See that you do not. We need you, not just as a symbol but as a teacher. You are showing us a path forward. She left and returned to his preparations. His hands moved automatically now, checking gear, reviewing plans. But his mind was elsewhere, thinking about what came next. Found him alone in the armory. You are nervous. Yes. Good, fear keeps you sharp. Overconfidence kills. The Alpha picked up one of the human-designed traps, examining it. I have been an Alpha for 12 years. I have led hundreds of hunts, but I have never hunted like this. Combining strategies, using terrain as a weapon. These are old ideas to you, but new to us. We forgot them when we became powerful. Power makes you forget survival, said. Humans never had that luxury. We remained small and weak, so we had to stay clever. Perhaps that is your greatest gift. Not that you are weak, but that you remember what it means to struggle. Set down the trap. After this hunt, after you return to Earth, others will follow. More humans in more packs. They will need to be trained. They will need a teacher. You want me to stay? I want you to consider it. You are kin now. That is not temporary, that is forever. You will always have a place in Shadow Pack. Placed one massive hand on shoulder. Think about it. The next morning they moved out. The pack traveled light and fast, reaching the canyon by early afternoon. Immediately began setting up the traps. Fire pits hidden under thin layers of dirt. Cable snares attached to unstable rock formations. Barriers that would funnel thee into the narrowest part of the canyon. This is insane, said, helping secure a support beam that would collapse part of the wall. We are trusting our lives to ropes and fire. And teeth and claws, reminded him. The traps are just tools. We are the real weapons. Grinned, I am starting to understand why your species survived. You are too stubborn to die. That is the nicest thing you have ever said to me. Do not get used to it, little brother. The traps were ready by nightfall. took his position in the center of the killing ground. The others were hidden in the rocks above, ready to strike once the was in position. Then they waited. The came at midnight. Heard it before he saw it, the sound of stone grinding against armored hide. Then it appeared at the canyon entrance, a massive silhouette against the starlit sky. It saw immediately, its remaining good eye fixed on him with unmistakable hatred. "Hello again," said quietly. "Remember me." The roared and charged. Ran, leading it deeper into the canyon. The first trap triggered, fire erupting from hidden pits. The hesitated just for a moment before crashing through. The flames scorched its hide but did not stop it. The second trap was a cable net that dropped from above. The tore through it with brute strength, but it slowed down. That was enough. And dropped from above, landing on the creature's back. Their weapons found gaps in the armor, drawing silver blood. The bucked and threw them off, but was already firing from a protected position, each shot carefully aimed at vulnerable joints. The was in the killing ground now, exactly where they wanted it. The canyon walls pressed in on both sides. It could not maneuver, could not use its size advantage. Triggered the final trap. The support beam exploded and a section of the canyon wall collapsed. Tons of rock crashed down, blocking this retreat. It was trapped. The battle that followed was brutal. The fought with desperate fury, knowing it was cornered. But the pack had planned for this. They struck from multiple angles, never giving it a clear target. When it focused on one, another would attack. They wore it down, one wound at a time. Stayed mobile, using fire and traps to control the battlefield. He was not strong enough to hurt them directly, but he did not need to be. He changed the flow of battle, created openings, protected his when they were vulnerable. It took hours. The was dying but refused to fall. Its armor was cracked, its body bleeding from dozens of wounds, but it kept fighting. Finally saw the opening, the neck where armor plates met flesh. He signaled to, and they moved in perfect coordination. Both struck simultaneously, their weapons piercing deep. The fell. The pack stood in silence, breathing hard, covered in blood and dust, then raised his head and howled, "Victory, survival, pack." They all joined in, even his human voice mixing with roars in a sound that echoed through the canyon. 3 months later, stood in a different training arena on Prime, but this time he was not fighting, he was teaching. 20 human recruits stood before him, all volunteers for the exchange program. They looked nervous and excited and terrified, just as he had been. "Welcome," said. "You are here because you want to prove humans belong among the stars. I am here to tell you that we already do, not because we are strong or fast, but because we are resilient, we adapt, we endure, we do not quit." Behind him, watched with approval, stood beside the Alpha, and if anyone had told 3 months ago that the aggressive second would become his closest friend, he would not have believed it. Was there too, helping to organize the new training programs, and fully recovered, served as the primary liaison between and human cultures. Shadow Pack had changed. They had learned from just as he had learned from them. Other packs were requesting human members now. The galaxy was beginning to see humans not as weak prey, but as valuable partners. Ambassador visited one evening. "You are not coming back to Earth, are you?" "Not yet," said. "There is work to do here, but someday, yes. I want to see my family again. Tell them what I have learned." "They are proud of you. Everyone on Earth is proud." "I hope they understand it was not about proving anything. It was about finding where I belong." "And where is that?" Looked at his pack, at the friends who had become family, at the arena where he was helping shape the future of human-alien relations, at the stars visible through the open roof. "Here," he said, "for now I belong here." Years later, when historians studied the early days of human integration into galactic society, they would point to many factors: political negotiations, economic agreements, cultural exchanges. But the ones who had been there, who had witnessed it firsthand, knew the truth. It had started with one small human who refused to quit, who carried a wounded warrior through hostile jungle, who faced impossible odds with nothing but determination and clever tricks learned from ancestors who had once hunted mammoths with sharpened sticks. They laughed at the small Earthborn until their alpha hunter named him kin. And everything changed.